You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Today on your Loose Women Live, it's Ruth Langsford, Linda Robson, Janet Street Porter, and Katie Piper.
Thank you very much. You're a lovely audience. Welcome to you at home to your Tuesday's Loose Women. It's lovely to have your company this afternoon. Now, coming up today, could living like a nun be the answer to a stress-free life? As a monastery is offering people the chance to go on holiday there. Yes, and Janet will be telling us about the time she spent at a silent retreat. Wonder how that went. How silent could Janet be? Also, we'll be talking about naked neighbours. Would you confront yours if they were sunbathing in the Buff in their own back garden? Oh, good one, isn't it? Also, TV presenter turned author Steve Jones will be here today, talking about everything from his debut book to his dyslexia diagnosis. Looking forward to seeing Steve. Before we start, though, for anyone who wasn't watching yesterday's show, Linda had a bit of a fake tan disaster.
Oh, my goodness.
She did a quick fake tan, she didn't put her gloves on, and then she forgot to wash her hands. So many people, Linda, getting in touch, going, we need to know, did she get the fake tan off?
I did most of it. I spent all night scrubbing.
Yeah.
You know, I am a bit of a scrubber.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, well
Not
done.
practically gone.
Do you know what?
A few little bits
I'm going
on
to
there
buy
now.
you these. You get these fake tan onesies. You zip them right up here, and they've got little mitts on, and then you won't touch yourself in bed.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
Yeah. I realised what I just said there.
What she means is you won't touch parts of your body that've got fake tan on them.
That was another
Just to
topic,
clarify.
wasn't it?
Just to clarify.
So you wear like a white all-over romper suit.
Well, it has to
but
be black.
inside you're like the colour of an old handbag.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping to see you with a tan.
Yeah, I had last week off.
Right.
I went to Spain, southern Spain, between Seville and Ronda, to a house I rented a year ago, same week when it was boiling hot. I got off the plane, clouds. Next day,
It's
clouds.
so disappointing.
Next day, hailstones. I went out to lunch. I don't know if they got the photo. I looked out through the window across to the swimming pool of the hotel I was staying in. Look,
Raining.
raining.
No.
Rain,
Do you
rain,
get, see,
rain.
I get really, really sulky on holiday if it doesn't, literally like a petulant child.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that. Can't believe this.
I did that.
Well, your
Emma
summer
does a lot of
clothes.
that. It's all right.
It's
We'll just
not
stay
all
and
right.
read. I go, I didn't come here to read. I get really, really
I
childish about
even
it.
jumped in the swimming pool on the last day just to prove I could. It was so freezing, I jumped straight out again.
OK, now, Janet, I know this is a big favourite of yours. Last night, the final episode, some say ever, of the highly acclaimed drama Succession. Janet is a big fan, but I have to say, Janet,
Yes.
don't move a muscle.
But I did watch it.
No, but because we've been banned. By our producer Kitty today, who's a massive fan, but she hasn't watched the final. She's going to watch it tonight. Lots of other people who haven't watched it. So we know we get accused all the time, spoilers. In fact, nowadays, you can't say anything about
It's
anything.
just sharing how
can't talk
brilliant
about
it
something
was.
Steady.
Yeah, but some people haven't watched it.
Yeah.
OK, can I just say, though, there's been somebody in the lead.
Steady.
I've watched it all the way through
Right.
and I've invested a lot of time in this person. I've completely got the hots for him. Kendall, played by Jeremy Strong, an English actor. And
But don't tell us what happened to him at the
I'm just
end.
going to give you a little hint. He took his top off.
OK.
He went in the sea and it was flabby-wabby. My dream
Anyway,
died.
no, Kitty's going to stop. Kitty's
So
going
has
to
it,
stop.
but that's been your spoiler. That's a different type of spoiler, isn't it?
It's
Spoiled
a body
fan
spoiler.
You can't, Katie. It's very hard. You know, in the olden days, Janet, we used to come into the office and go, "Oh my God, did you see
Yes.
so-and-so
Well, you'd
last
watch
night?"
one episode of EastEnders and we'll talk about it together.
But you're on series what of Happy Valley?
I've just discovered series 1 of Happy Valley.
But everybody's
About 10
seen
years
that.
old.
I'm
I didn't
sorry.
realise that. And I was like, there's Rick Earl from Coronation Street. Isn't she busy?
I'm always getting into trouble for spoilers.
For everything.
Yeah.
For everything.
Life.
But you
Yeah.
tweet spoilers as well. That's the
I
thing.
did by accident once.
You did?
So I watched Skyfall, and at the end of it, I've watched all the James Bonds. Judi Dench dies.
Oh,
so I put on
Spoiler.
Twitter I'm never watching James Bond again because Dame Judi Dench is dead, and that was it. I got slaughtered by everyone. And also, we won Celebrity Coach Trip, and I let it leak on here that we won it.
I sat next to you. She told us she was doing a series, and then she blabbed.
That I'd won it. Then I got in trouble from the producers. So on this show, no one ever tells me anything.
Yeah, but no one warned me of that when I joined the team, and I told you all my secrets. And
never done that.
But I've kept them in.
She doesn't do it maliciously. She just can't help herself.
Just can't help
That's why we call her baggy mouth, don't we? We do. Yeah, but it's tricky, the spoiler thing, isn't it? Because it's like, where's the cut-off?
A little bit about
No.
No.
We do not.
I know what you mean.
I do want to know what you think about this, though. You know, everyone's talking about AI and robots. Would you get on board with this? On board, get it? Wasn't that bad? OK, in Scotland, they've introduced the world's first full-size self-driving bus service, OK? The buses run across the Forth Bridge. Now, that man is called the captain. Is that the right one? He's got his hands on the wheel there. Oh, it is the right one. OK. Anyway, this bus runs across the Forth Road Bridge from Ferry Toll Park and Ride in Fife, going across to Edinburgh Park Station. And it says driverless. The buses do operate with 2 staff on board. Oh, no, there he is, hands-free. OK, so it's all done with sensors and it follows a sensor along the road. Thing is, would you trust it, Katie? Would you get on the bus?
Well, I wouldn't trust it, but also, just out of principle, I wouldn't use it because I was coming back from Manchester last week and I stopped at a service station, went to get a sandwich. And, you know, normally with the self-service tills, you have, like, at least one person just monitoring, like, 10 tills. There was not a soul in the shop at all. It was completely deserted. I was the only customer. And I don't know if I'm getting old, but I kind of looked around and thought, this is actually really sad. It's, like, no interaction, no connection with anyone. That was somebody's job, somebody's purpose, their self-worth. And I just feel like it's a sign of, like, phasing out connection and real people.
But, Katie, the reason why there are no people in supermarkets is because they say they can't get the staff.
Well,
because all supermarkets now, and there was a thing about Marks and Spencer's in one of the papers at the weekend, saying that's their strategy. They're going to downplay tills where people help you and increase self-service.
And you see it in department stores if you go in there empty now.
Yeah. What about the bus? Because, you know, we talked about driverless cars before, and I've said, I just have this vision of some terrible B movie where I'll be in the driverless car and then suddenly all the doors will lock and it'll go mad. The computer will go...
Like a horror movie.
Yeah, it'll spin round and I'll be out of control. I won't be able to do anything. No. Would you get on a bus thinking, you know, that man's not in control of this bus, it's driverless?
No, because the Docklands Light Railway in London, the DLR, doesn't have drivers. It has people, staff on it. And I don't think trade unions will ever allow buses, trains or cars or whatever to operate without...
I think I would feel happier if there is a captain, they're calling them, rather than a driver, somebody on it.
Well, that's a fascinating word, isn't it? Because it's not a ship.
Yeah.
Captain.
But you kind of think... But that made me think, well, if that person, man or woman, we're seeing a man there, but if that person is there, why can't they just drive the bus?
Because I think it's a way to pay people less. I think it's a bit exploitative.
You're right.
Yeah, I do. So
is it actually a robot actually driving the bus?
Well, it
might be Nicola Sturgeon. What's she doing? Just saying. Wondering what's going on at SNP.
It's sensor and control technology. So it means it's pre-selected roads and the sensors pick up a path.
But they always have glitches.
I sound like I know what I'm talking about there, don't I? Oh, yes, like I'm an engineer or something. That's how it works. I don't know. I might on a short journey. It goes at 50 miles an hour, which is pretty speedy.
Yeah, it's fast, isn't it?
Well, when you go to Gatwick Terminal, for example, Gatwick Airport, and you go on the monorail out to one of the terminals, you're not stressing out about whether it's going to fall off its rail.
It's this thing about being in control. Yeah. If there's somebody at the head of something and they're in control of it, you can relax and just go on your journey. If there's no driver, who's steering
What about
the ship?
a pilotless plane?
Absolutely not. No,
that poor man's just sitting there all day, isn't he?
He's probably having a lovely time
but
going
the planes
back and forwards across the bridge.
fly on autopilot. What do you think they're doing? Do you think the pilots have both...
Don't tell me, I don't want to know.
All right. So you're on a plane
with a pilot.
The driver comes out to use the loo, the co-pilot's sitting in there, but he or she might be having a sandwich, you know.
Yeah, no, I
necessarily
understand
driving.
Pilot, but could you ever see the day? This is where, you know, our AI robots, could you see the day when there's a completely no pilot, co-pilot, in fact,
Well,
no
I would send
human
my
being.
AI robot on the holiday and I would stay at home. I just couldn't handle it.
Well, the last time I was on a bus, I'd forgotten my travel card and I got out a £5 note and handed it to a woman in a navy blue suit, and she was immediately outraged.
Because she wasn't the...
Member of staff.
No.
Had to apologise.
The lady on the bus.
She was just on her way to the
how long
office.
Janet's been on a bus when she thinks that she's still a conductor like that with tickets. Tickets.
I used to love those tickets that
I
came
did.
out of the machine.
I did.
Can't
OK,
relate.
well, we have to take a break now. After that, we're going to be talking everything from naked neighbours to part-time nuns. Also, presenter Steve Jones will be stopping by. And we'll be talking about a rather heartbreaking dementia dilemma. This is after a lady has asked whether you should be obligated to keep visiting elderly relatives or loved ones if they actually can't remember who you are. It's quite an emotional topic, obviously, and we'll be doing that right after this. Hello, welcome back. Yes, it's getting hot in here, but would you take off all your clothes? I know you lot would. No, in your garden, would you go naked in your garden? Hopefully not the front garden, you know, be careful. Out there. But that is a good one, you know. And would you... Stop it. Would you confront a neighbour if they were going naked in their garden, you didn't like it? Anyway, it's a good one. We haven't done that
I'd
topic.
get my binoculars out.
Also, from Formula One to fiction writer Steve Jones is our guest today. He's joining us later after releasing his first novel. Before we do any of that, competition time for you, your chance to win a massive £50,000. And that was very good. Do you want another one? And a brand new car. Thank you very much. Kate Lawler has all the details for you.
Hello. Now, have you been dreaming of jetting away this summer and relaxing in the sunshine? Well, stop dreaming and get entering. We're starting off with a massive £50,000 in tax-free cash. Ka-ching! Just think of everything you could spend with that money in the bank. One thing you won't need to buy, though, is a new car, because we've taken care of that too. This brand new MG HS hybrid car could be all yours. It comes in pearl white, has all the latest mod cons, and most importantly, it's worth over £30,000. And if you've ever wondered what it feels like to win big, then just listen to our previous winners, Darren and Andy.
I won £36,000, a massive Mercedes-Benz and £10,000 to spend on holidays.
So, for another chance to win £50,000 and that brand new MGHS hybrid, text WIN to 83123. Texts cost £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 783123. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY19 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 2nd of June at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Kate. Good luck with that. Now, 1 in 2 people will be affected by dementia in their lifetime, either developing it, caring for someone living with it, or even both. A study has revealed a shocking statistic that 42% of people think it's pointless to visit a loved one with dementia if that person doesn't recognise them anymore. And actually, this came from... On top of that survey, a woman had written a letter to the New York Times kind of asking for advice. And her grandmother, who's 94, she was very, very close to her, is now in a care home, assisted living, well looked after. But she said her dementia is, you know, definitely on the increase, and she said it won't be long probably before she doesn't remember me. She went through a similar thing with her grandfather, which she found very, very, very upsetting. She's now got 2 young children. They are visiting at the moment. But she said, once my grandmother doesn't recognise me anymore, and therefore not my children, should I be obligated to still go? And she's kind of torn about should she go? Are you obligated, Linda, to go and visit a relative?
I don't think you're obligated. You go because you want to go because it's a loved one. So my mum had dementia, same as your dad had dementia, and we used to go and visit her every day. So I've got two sisters. So between the three of us, she was in a Marie Curie in Hampstead for 5 months, and one of us would be there every day. And it was mainly for her to see us. And when we get there, she'd be happy, like she'd see our faces, and just for that 1 minute, she would know who we were, or she knew it was someone she loved. Then after that, she wouldn't know anything. But it was still like, so it was for us to make sure she was being looked after okay. And that, so there was no way that I was never ever going to see. But I have said to my kids, that's my biggest fear. If I get dementia, put me in a home. Don't look after me. I don't want to be like a burden on them or anything, because it is the most terrible disease, isn't it? I think I'd rather get anything rather than dementia.
It's very, very difficult, because my dad definitely forgot who I was towards the end, and I think he knew someone was there. You know, in that moment, he was very well aware that someone was there. I just think, oh, there he is, my lovely dad. I think he just thought I was a nice lady who brought him chocolate and cakes and biscuits. But in that moment, it was for me, actually, at that point, I think, the visiting. Even though he enjoyed my visit, it wasn't kind of like, oh, here's my daughter. For me, it was like, there's my dad. And it was checking in on him, just knowing he was okay. And for me, I don't feel obligated. And actually, we did have one family member who just found it too distressing eventually. And I would never, ever hold that against anybody. It's a very, very personal thing, isn't it?
I agree with you. I think every situation's different. And some people can't afford to go and do that because they're at work, they can't get there, they can't travel, they've got a small network around them. And I think, like, automatic reaction is to think, well, if you don't go, is that selfish? But if you go and the person is so severe, you know, down the line with dementia, they don't know you're going or not. So it's still for a selfish reason, really, to not feel guilty for yourself. But I think one of the main reasons to go is to be an advocate for somebody. And, you know, it's not the same situation, but I think when I was in a coma, my mum and dad were at the hospital every day, like, sleeping on the floor, and they would advocate for me and humanise me to the staff, saying, this is what she normally looks like, here's a picture, this is what she likes doing, this is what she doesn't like. And I think that sort of helps you get better care and treatment, because you're not just another number.
No, I agree with that. I definitely, for my dad, and so many people that with loved ones in care with dementia, is that you remember that person they were and all the things they did, and you're so desperate to tell the staff and people around them, like, you know, my dad used to fly planes, and my dad used to do this, and my dad can play the piano, and he loves jazz. And I think that's important, like the advocacy.
It's good for you as well to remember him, how you loved him and knew him.
Some of the things you're telling the staff might help them to use if he gets distressed, if the person involved gets distressed or feels confused or lonely, because all the evidence shows that memories come back in completely jumbled up ways. So, you know, I've had many friends whose mums and dads have had dementia, and they felt hopeless visiting them. And I mean, I even visiting my mother towards the end of her life, I'm not sure, you know, how much she actually understood. But the thing is, I went in that situation and visiting my auntie because I wanted to thank the staff. Because, you know, they were a long way away from where I lived in London. They were in North Wales. I wanted to go and say thank you. And, you know, it's a pretty tough job.
Very,
And also, you've got to make sure the visit isn't all about you. I mean, that's the danger, isn't it? You're doing it so you feel better because you, like, ticked a box, you went and visited. But actually, how do you know whether they might retain some memories?
Well, actually, I mean, they do say that people with dementia can still hold what they call an emotional memory. This means they continue to feel happy long after a visit or an experience that they may have forgotten. So you might just jog, maybe not you personally, like with my dad, I don't think he went, oh, there's my Ruthie.
No.
But if I played jazz music to him, he would tap away. So that was, you know,
music, there's a strong link with
bringing back a memory for him of some sort.
Because the Pearly Kings and Queens came into the home, and it was the first time my mum started singing along to the songs. You know, it was a lovely, lovely moment. And there's loads of lovely moments and loads of funny things that happened as well.
Many funny
Her
things.
last trip out was it was Birds of a Feather on tour at the Cliffs Pavilion in the South End, and my sisters came down. It was my birthday as well, and my daughter was sitting next to my mum, and my mum started undressing in the theatre. So she took her coat off, put it over her chair, took her cardigan off, took her socks off and put them on the man's shoulders in front of her. And my daughter was traumatised, but you have to see the funny side of it. She was Catholic Irish, so she never undressed anywhere, but all of a sudden she'd sort of lost all inhibitions and just wanted to strip off. But, yeah, so we've got lots of happy memories of her as well.
I mean, you do have to keep a sense of humour, otherwise you just spend the whole time crying.
Yeah, in those darker times.
And I felt during our last visits to see my Auntie Vi, who had really bad Parkinson's, she was unable to distinguish between what she was dreaming at night and what was happening during the day. So I'd sit there and I'd get this whole tidal wave of so-and-so's dying, the house has been on fire, and like blah, blah, blah. But at least I felt that my training as a journalist meant I could sit there and go, oh, really? And you act like it was all true. And so I felt I was contributing something positive to a really grim situation.
Found that it took me a long time to learn that with my dad, because I thought I was helping him by going, no, Dad, remember, because you didn't live there, remember. I used to say to him all the time, remember, Dad, remember. And then one of the staff said, Ruthie doesn't remember. So it's easier. It was like a light bulb, and I was like, no, he doesn't. So when he would tell me some fanciful story, he used to tell it when he was a Formula One driver, I was like, it's great, Dad. It's great, Dad. Anyway, thank you. Listen, I've got so many messages from you and so little time, but I would like to just read something. Have I got 10 seconds, did you say? Karen. She says, like said Linda, don't come and see me. As an ex-care assistant, I've told my son not to visit me if I forget him.
I understand.
I feel as his mother that would be horrendous for him.
It's dignity as well, I think. Yeah.
And then Sally, hello Sally, she said, my mother had dementia. I used to have to take a deep breath before going into the home to visit, as I didn't know what type of day it was going to be. She still remembered me and loved me and scolded me when I said the wrong things. She wasn't the lady I knew growing up, but I got to know the lady she became, and I miss both of them.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
that's lovely.
Yeah. It is. It's a different person, but, you know, still a lovely person. Thank you so much, Sally, everybody else, for your messages. I might try and get to a few more of those. If you have been affected by anything that we've just discussed, help is available. Go over to the ITV website and you'll find a lot more information on there. We'll take another break. After that, everybody loves good neighbours, but would you confront yours if they were sunbathing in the nude next door? Also, presenter Steve Jones is going to be here. It's actually unrelated to the naked neighbours topic, but we'll ask him that question anyway. He's here to talk about his new book, his first book ever, actually. We'll see you right after this.
On Monday, singing superstar Leona Lewis will be jetting in to join us for her first chat since becoming a mum. She'll tell us all about swapping Hackney for Hollywood and how she plans to team up with royalty and narrate a new animated film. Leona Lewis, Monday from 12:30.
Welcome back to Tuesday's Loose Women, and keeping you company for the next half hour of news and views. It is Linda Robson, Janet Street Porter, Katie Piper and me, Ruth Langsford. Now, in just a moment, ladies, start your engines. Formula One presenter Steve Jones will be here, telling us all about his debut novel. Before that, a German landlord has made headlines after winning the right to sunbathe naked in the courtyard of his Frankfurt building. Oh, that's awkward. Didn't see that one. Didn't see that one coming. Despite complaints from his fellow tenants. So that got us talking, Janet. Would you sunbathe naked? If a neighbour was doing so, would you have anything against that?
Well, you know, there's a big trend in gardening at the moment, which is letting your garden go wild, and it's all been seen at Chelsea and so on.
Oh,
well,
no,
largely
no.
because my friend's been, who helps me with my garden, has been very, very busy. My garden has been going very, very wild this May, and it's totally on trend.
Yes.
The grass is, I think this May's been called Don't Cut Your Grass.
No mow May.
No mow May.
May.
Yeah, but it's for the
right, so I've been
insects.
no mowing on anything, and the grass is about 3 foot high, and God knows what's living in there. So if I stripped everything off, I'll be covered.
It'd be well hidden.
I'll be well hidden.
Be well hidden.
I don't think people sunbathe topless as much as they used to, because, like, growing up in the 80s and 90s, you go on holiday to Spain and everyone would be topless, but
Yes.
you don't see it as much.
That was like the first time it started, weren't it? Probably in about the
And what if there's a
80s.
drone in my postcode? I was down at the coast at my beach house over the weekend and a drone went past. Luckily, I was fully clothed. It was freezing cold. That's the other place I've been, and it's cold just to have another mini
I've never been
cold in
comfortable
Whitstable.
with that, but if ever I've done it, it'll be in the privacy of my own back garden, and even then, I wouldn't actually take my top off. I've done a bit of that. No one around. Just a bit... And then if I literally hear a plane in the distance, I'm like, oh!
When I started in journalism, I went to Saint-Tropez. I was working on the Evening Standard. I took my top off and someone took a picture of me. I came back to work and, no kidding, it was blown up on the wall.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed.
But would you have an issue, Katie, if a neighbour was, prancing around in the birthday suit and you could see them from your house?
No, not at all. It's their garden, it's their house. It's up to them what they want to do.
But this is a communal one in Germany, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
It's a courtyard.
A communal courtyard. It doesn't sound very exotic.
Do you know what? Do you know what I
it's
can't
completely
understand,
naked?
though? I know why you wouldn't want the top half because of strap marks, but how tanned do you need your Miffy to be?
Why does a man want to take his pants off and sunbathe with his bit out
Very
anyway?
sensitive on a man
I
as
would
well.
say it's quite a sensitive area to be exposing to the sun, really.
I would say so too. I suppose it all depends on how big it is. How near the sun it is.
You don't want any blisters.
Well, thank you to that man in Frankfurt for that interesting topic today. OK, shall we get our guest out?
Yeah.
Yes, let's get our guest out. Now, he is a model turned TV presenter who rose to fame presenting T4 alongside some very familiar faces. Oh, look at them. How young they look. We've got Vernon Kay on the end there in his little suit, bless him. And now, since then, our guest has entered the fast lane as a Formula One presenter. Now he's adding author to that list and he's released his first ever novel. We're delighted to welcome him. It is Steve Jones.
Really cool.
It's a tune, isn't it?
Bit of the Mac. Fantastic.
Yeah. It is a tune. Yeah, so Formula One. Were you a big Formula One fan?
No.
Oh.
Okay. I didn't know much about it before I was asked to do it. To be completely honest, I lied. I told Channel 4 that I'm a huge fan and I'm the right man for the job.
That's the best way to do it.
It was scary, though, Katie, very scary. I swatted up for 3 months solid. I was dreaming F1 by the end of it, and then I just jumped into the deep end, and it's been one of the best moves I've ever made.
Did you do a lot of homework?
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of homework. I got to work extra hard. I'm not an expert, I'm the presenter. Just got to ask the right questions. So.
Did you get in trouble for calling it Hollyoaks on Wheels?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. They did not respond well to that, the F1 crowd at the time. But ironically, it has become that in 2023.
What's the show that all the young... And my son is obsessed with Formula One.
Drive to Survive.
That's the one.
On Netflix. It's a very, very popular show. We love it because it means it does all the promotion for F1 for us, so we don't have to do any promo for it. But which, at the same time, is a shame because I like coming out and seeing everybody, so it's great that I'm here with something different that isn't Formula One. Yeah, well, this is your book. This is your first ever novel. Are you one of those people like, I've had a book in me for a long time? I'm not sure that I've thought I had a book in me. I just think I read enough. I'm a prolific reader. I love to read, and I think if anybody reads enough books, there's going to come a time where you think, could I write a book? And that's the question I asked a few years back.
Here
and
it is.
Apparently, yes, I can, but read it first. But first, maybe you'll think, no, you can't. Call Time. How did it feel to the first time you held your own book? It was one of the best days of my life. Yeah. It just blew my mind. It was just all my dreams coming true. It was an amazing day. Well, I was fascinated how this came about. So as many good ideas. Friends in a pub, having a discussion, and one of your friends, Rose, I believe, said that she could remember, she knew every single number in her mobile phone. Crazy. Mind-blowing. Yeah. Okay, then we were all talking this morning going, well, actually, I do remember my childhood home
The landline. Number.
Yeah.
That's the only one we could all remember.
Absolutely.
But you take it from there, because you could remember yours and you wondered something. I said to Rose, that's bonkers. Apart from my current mobile phone number, the only number I can remember is my childhood landline, 01443756634. Probably shouldn't say that on TV. Ring it off the hook.
We're all going to ring it now.
And then I made a joke. I said, how weird would it be if I rang that number now and, a 10-year-old Steve answered the phone? Oh, yeah. And that... It just started resonating with me, that idea. I thought, well, what would I tell myself? And that was the genesis of Call Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went on to, a hard part of writing this book because you talk about your childhood friend, Chris, who you sadly lost through a cycling accident, and you were with him, and that's become part of the story.
I mean, the book is a complete work of fiction, but my protagonist, Bob Bloomfield, he does suffer a horrific childhood trauma. His brother and him go on a bike ride when they were kids, and his brother fell off the bike and died. And I didn't want Bob to be like a two-dimensional cliche. I needed his grief to be real, so I borrowed from my own experience, and that was when I was 19. My brother Jonathan and our best friend Chris went on a bike ride, and Chris came off his bike and he died.
In your arms?
In my arms, yep.
Very traumatic.
So how difficult to take yourself back to that place to write this?
Extremely difficult to relive that moment over and over again. But at the same time, I've done that my entire life. You can't move on from something like that, so it's always with me.
Do you think it helped, though? Maybe it was a bit cathartic, and I mean, there's never closure from losing somebody, but do you think it was a bit of the healing process?
Maybe. You know, the book is dedicated to Chris, and I obviously miss him terribly. And there was a small part of me that was questioning using the worst thing that ever happened to me in the fashion that I did. So I had to come to terms with that, but I spoke to Chris's family, and they were absolutely fine with it. I explained the book isn't about Chris, it's a work of fiction. So it's been really difficult to get my head around it, to be completely honest with you.
But I think... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say that all writers use experiences that have happened to them, even if they transpose them into other characters. And if you ask, you know, every successful novelist will say, oh, well, it's not based on one person, but you know, it's a composite of people. But having never written a book before, how did you plot it out? I mean, did you have a whiteboard and a storyline, or did you dictate it, or did you just write it straightly onto the keyboard?
Close to that. I understood what the beginning, the middle and the end was, but I allowed myself, you know, as many flights of fancies that I needed in order to go off in different directions and maybe mind something a bit more exciting and different. But I did know the beginning, the middle and the end. That was all plotted out. I kept it in my mind rather than on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
Just to keep it fresh and keep it
So did you have
constantly.
an editor chop it down? Because I was going to say, when I wrote my first book of memoirs, I thought, oh, well, I'll just, like, write away.
Send, publish. Thank you very much. That was easy. No.
Yeah, and then you get the manuscript back with all the marks on it, and it's really awful, isn't it?
The first edit for Call Time I sent to my editor, a guy called Bill Massey, who's fantastic. His notes were, you've written one half of two different books. He literally reached into my chest and tore my heart out.
So demoralising.
I gave up. I put it down for a month that I can't do that. I put so much work into this book. I thought I finished it, and he's told me, no, you haven't. You've got to choose whether you want to go down the science fiction route or a story about relationships and people.
And you went down the relationships people.
Exactly.
Talking of relationships, your absolutely gorgeously stunning wife, Felicia, is here. Now, often people's partners are the first person to read your book, apart from your editor. Did Felicia read it? Did she give you any critique?
Yes, she did. She said she loved it, but I had to ignore that because I know she loves me, I love her. It was very unlikely she was going to go, well, this is a pile of rubbish. So
Would you have told him if it was a pile of rubbish?
I would point out little things that I was, like, not fussed on. Yeah.
Look, here's a dilemma for you, right? You love Felicia, you love Will Smith. There's quicksand. Both of them are sinking. Which one would you save?
I'm afraid it's the end of the road for Will Smith.
Right answer. Listen, Steve, it's a fascinating story, and thank you for sharing that, because I know that's hard to talk about your friend. Call Time, there it is. Steve Jones' very first novel. I'm sure there will be many more, but thank you and good luck with this. Steve Jones. To come, how good are you at being all by yourself? One of us has recently learned to love their own company. We'll be revealing who. And move over, Maria von Trapp. We're asking if living like a nun is the key to getting away from all of life's stresses. See you right after this. Welcome back to Loose Women. Hope you're having a good afternoon. Coming up, we're asking how good are you at being all by yourself? Linda will be telling us about her solo holiday adventure. She didn't know that. We've just told her. First, though, if you feel stuck in your everyday life, could becoming a nun be the answer? Well, there's a monastery in Surrey. They're offering stays to people who want to escape the stresses of modern life by giving them the chance to live like a monk. It's a monk because it's a monastery, but you could do the same in a nunnery. So the day starts with Rising Bell at 5:30 a.m. and so it goes on, Linda. And there's silence.
I can't speak.
No.
I have trouble when there's a 1 minute silence.
Yeah.
I cannot be quiet.
No.
I know,
So
yeah.
don't think it's going to be
No,
for
that's
you.
not going to be my cup of tea.
Janet, would you... You quite like your own company, though,
Oh,
don't you?
yeah. A few years ago, I did a silent retreat for an article in a magazine. So I arrived on a Friday night, no talking, Saturday, Sunday, and it involved meditation and yoga. And to be honest, I really enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like was the curried eggs. The diet was a bit, beyond me.
Did you break the rules ever? To make a cheeky little phone call or anything?
I got caught texting, and apparently that counts as talking. But interestingly, my hairdresser's been on a silent retreat all last week, and she said, she really enjoys them. And I do think they've got a lot of value. And Tessa Jowl, when she was a minister, I knew that she used to go off to a retreat for a week, once a year, and quite a lot of...
A week's a long time, though, not
You
to
don't
talk.
think you could do it, Katie?
Well, 3 days, maybe 2.5.
No,
but I think
a week is be fine.
The 5:30 a.m. thing, isn't that just life being a parent? I get up at 5:30 a.m. every day, so that would be the easy bit for me.
Would you not worry about not being able to speak to the kids for a couple of days?
No, that would be the good bit. No, I'm joking.
I quite like the idea of silence, Katie, because we all, so many of us lead busy lives and we're always talking, I mean, obviously with our jobs, but all of us, we seem to rush everywhere, doing everything quickly. Everything in life is fast. I sometimes find myself standing by the microwave going, come on!
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes I think it would be
just
nice
the detachment
to
from
just
the microwave
slow
and the
down.
technology and the phones and the constant busyness, even though it doesn't have to be audio, just at your fingertips seeing everything is kind of bad for you.
But really, because I walk a lot, and I walk a lot by myself, that's like meditation anyway, and that's... And I can honestly say I would have no problem doing a silent week, unlike Linda, who's silent 2 minutes. So when you're going to have a minute's silence, what I want to know is, do you do a lot of babbling in the
I speak as much as I can before the minute. And then I'm silent.
Do you have a babble fact? You just keep babbling.
Yeah. And then we go, right, 1 minute silence.
Yeah.
See,
I
wouldn't
want to be
mind
up now because I need to say something.
I'd like general silence, but not complete silence. So I'd like the sort of daily devotion, the prayers, those, because I love my little live, life, laugh, like my quotes and my affirmations. That would be nice, because you'd have time to reflect, but then a little chat.
Hang on a minute. Live, life, laugh. Is that something that happens every 20 minutes or something?
It would be in my retreat. That's what my retreat would be like.
Katie's would be slogan retreat.
Yeah, I'd love the idea of having it all organised by somebody else, and I didn't have to think or plan anything, that I'd get up in the middle of the night, go in a, drafty old abbey and sing a few hymns or, or we actually wouldn't be singing.
No, you'd have to mime a few hymns.
Yeah, but listen to
Hands up in the audience, who would fancy a silent retreat? Just like a couple of days.
Oh, quite a few
no,
people.
Not as many as I thought. It's a bit tentative.
Yeah,
not as many as I thought.
They're worried they might run into us.
We're all chatters, that's why. We're all chatters. Right, we're going to have a competition for you again now. Your chance to win £50,000 and a brand new car. Sorry, I nearly went ahead without you there. Kate Lawler has all the details.
We have a winner for every single one of our competition prizes, and this week is no different because we are giving away an incredible 2-part prize. So if you're feeling lucky, you can't miss out on this. We have a prize that could see you driving away in this stunning brand new MG HS Hybrid worth over £30,000. It comes with driver assist technology, MG styling, and even reclining rear seats. Just think of all the adventures you could have with the keys to this in your hands. But that's not all, because we're also giving away a whopping £50,000 for you to spend on whatever you like. Here's 2 people who know what it's like to win big.
My name's Deborah.
And I'm James.
And I won a Caribbean holiday and £20,000 cash.
So, for another chance to win £50,000 and that brand new MG HS Hybrid, someone is guaranteed to win this incredible prize. So make sure you get entering for another chance to win Text WIN to 83123. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 783123. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY19 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, June the 2nd at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Katie. Now, are you happy in your own company? Politician Penny Mordaunt, who's leader of the Commons, has recently opened up on her single status, saying, I feel complete. I don't need another half. I'm not ideologically opposed to the idea. Oh, that's a big word. If I meet someone, I meet someone. If I don't meet someone, that is absolutely fine. And often, when people are alone, it's like, oh, would you like to meet someone? And it's like, what's wrong with being like Penny Mordaunt, saying, I'm absolutely fine on my own?
Yeah,
do you like your own company?
I do, and I think it's essential. And like Penny, you know, I had a period in my life where I was alone and really happy with that. And I think it's so important to get to that point before you invite anyone else into your life, because if you don't, all relationships will have a sort of limited shelf life where you're looking to the other person to meet all of your needs, create your happiness, and that's just not their responsibility.
And did you find it hard being on your own? Was it a conscious decision to be on your own? What did you learn from being on your own?
It was a mixture. At first, it wasn't by choice, but then I think the hard parts are because of society. Everything's geared for couples. You know, society's expectations, intrusive questions of, oh, have you not met anyone? Do you want to meet someone? But the actual being alone is quite enjoyable. And then once you get married, you just wish you were alone again. He doesn't watch in the daytime.
I like my own company,
Yeah,
you know, and
I do.
I have a busy life, busy household. So sometimes when there's nobody at home, and Emma might be away, you know, Jack's at uni now and things, I suddenly go, oh, there's nobody here today, and I love it. I relish it. Sometimes I don't even put the television on. You know, I just think, oh, silence, make a cup of tea, have the papers, or the opposite. I can be in the kitchen banging tunes and not bothering anybody. So I like my own company. I'm not very good, Janet, at going to events and things on my own.
Oh, I hate that.
Like walking into a party or something.
I can spend at the moment, I spend 2 or 3 days a week living alone. I love it. It's fantastic. But if you asked to meet me in a pub, I would absolutely get clammy hands. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? All the jobs that I've done. The idea of meeting anyone in a public place and having to go through that door, not knowing what's the other side...
That's different.
It's really, really hard. I always want to meet people outside on the pavement and go in with someone.
But Linda, you've got really good at doing
Yeah, I
things
have.
on your own,
My
haven't
kids
you?
have all left home and that now, so I had empty nest syndrome for a while. So now I just take myself away. I went to Mallorca a few weeks ago, just for about 4 or 5 days. I had a lovely few days there. Could go to what restaurant I wanted, got home, watch the telly, what channel I wanted. Because both my kids are vegan, so normally if they're away with me, we have to find vegan restaurants and everything.
So it was just
and if I'm on
you.
my own, I'll sit and read a book, and then people will leave you alone.
But then you like talking to people
But
as
then I
well.
like talking to people.
Then you can't shut her up.
I've seen Janet when we go to the NTAs, the thought of walking in, she gets herself in such a state. She has to have us to walk in with her, don't you?
I know, that's how
I
I
think people would be surprised about that. Anyway, we've got to walk away from you now, because that is it, I'm afraid. Yeah, I know. We could be here all afternoon. Linda, Janet and I are back tomorrow, though. We've got some more lunchtime debate. Until then, have a great afternoon. Thank you, audience. You've been wonderful. Thank you at home.